You know, friends, I've often said that success leaves clues. And one of the biggest clues I've discovered over the years is this: the most successful people aren't always the ones making the most noise. No, they're the quiet one, the ones who are too busy doing to be talking about doing. They understand something profound, that true power lies in the combination of thoughtful silence and bold action. It's like planting a seed. You don't stand over it shouting at it to grow. You give it what it needs, then you step back, you stay quiet, and you let nature do its work. But here's the kicker. Once that seed starts to sprout, you don't just sit back and watch. No, you take action. You water it, you nurture it, you protect it from the elements. You act as if everything depends on your efforts, because it does. That's the secret, my friends. Be silent enough to hear the whispers of opportunity, and then be bold enough to seize those opportunities with both hands, as if you have nothing to lose. Because in reality, the only thing you have to lose is the chance to become everything you're capable of being. You see, in this noisy world we live in, everyone's shouting to be heard. But the real movers and shakers, they're the quiet ones, the ones who are too busy doing to be talking about doing. They're the ones who understand that true power lies in silence and fearless action. Let me tell you a story. Back in my day, I knew a young man named Tom. Tom was always the loudest in the room, always talking about his big plans, his dreams, his ideas. But you know what? That's all they ever were, talk. Now there was another fellow, let's call him Mike. Mike was different. He rarely spoke about his plans, but boy, did he work. While Tom was busy telling everyone how he was going to start a business, Mike was in his garage, tinkering, failing, learning, and eventually succeeding. You see, Mike understood something fundamental that Tom didn't. He understood the power of silence coupled with fearless action. He acted as if he had nothing to lose because, in reality, he didn't. What's the worst that could happen? Failure? Well, let me tell you something about failure. It's not the opposite of success, it's part of success. Now, I want you to think about your own life for a moment. How much time do you spend talking about what you're going to do, and how much time do you spend actually doing it? Are you a Tom or are you a Mike? You see, when you're silent, you're listening, you're observing, you're learning. And when you act as if you have nothing to lose, you're free. Free from the fear of failure, free from the opinions of others, free from your own self-doubt. But let me be clear, this isn't about recklessness. This isn't about jumping into things without thought or preparation. No, this is about calculated silence and deliberate action. It's about being so focused on your goals that the noise of the world fades away, and all that's left is you and your purpose. Now, some of you might be thinking, but I'm not in a position to act as if I have nothing to lose. I have responsibilities. I have people depending on me. And to that, I say, good. Those responsibilities, those people depending on you, they're not hindrances, they're fuel. They're the reason you need to embrace this mindset even more. Because when you act as if you have nothing to lose, you're not being selfish. You're not being irresponsible. You're being brave. You're showing those who depend on you what it means to truly live, to truly strive for something. Let me share another story with you. Years ago, I met a woman named Sarah. Sarah was a single mother with 3 kids, working 2 jobs just to make ends meet. She had every reason to play it safe, to stick to what she knew. But Sarah had a dream. She wanted to start her own business, a small bakery in her neighborhood. Now, most people would have said, Sarah, you can't do that. You have too much to lose. What if it fails? What about your kids? But Sarah understood something profound. She understood that by not chasing her dreams, by not acting as if she had nothing to lose, she was already losing. She was losing her chance at true fulfillment, at showing her children what it means to pursue passion. So Sarah did something remarkable. She embraced silence. She stopped talking about her dream and started working towards it. Every night after her kids were asleep, she would experiment with recipes. She would study business plans. She would save every penny she could. And she acted as if she had nothing to lose. She quit one of her jobs, using that time to prepare for her bakery. She took out a small loan putting everything on the line. And you know what? It wasn't easy. There were times when she doubted herself, times when she was scared. But she persisted. Today, Sarah's Bakery is the heart of her community. Her children have learned the value of hard work, of pursuing dreams. And Sarah found something she never expected. You see, that's the real power of being silent and acting as if you have nothing to lose. It's not just about success in the traditional sense. It's about becoming who you're meant to be. Now, I can almost hear some of you thinking, that's a nice story, but it's not realistic. The world doesn't work that way. And to that I say, the world works exactly the way you believe it does. If you believe opportunities are scarce, guess what? They will be. If you believe you can't afford to take risks, then you can't. But if you believe that every challenge is an opportunity, if you believe that you have the power to shape your own destiny, then my friends, you will find a way. Because here's the truth. The only real limits are the ones we place on ourselves. Let's talk about fear for a moment. Fear is the number one reason people don't act as if they have nothing to lose. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of the unknown. But here's the thing about fear, it's a liar. Fear tells you that you can't when you can. It tells you that you're not good enough when you are. It tells you to stay silent when you should speak up and to speak up when you should stay silent. But what if just for a moment you could silence that fear? What if you could act despite it? That's where the magic happens. That's where growth occurs. That's where life truly begins. You see, life is not about finding yourself. Life is about creating yourself. And you create yourself through your actions, not your words. Through your silence, not your noise. Now, I'm not saying it's easy. Nothing worth having ever is. But I am saying it's worth it. Because when you embrace silence and act as if you have nothing to lose, you're not just changing your life, you're changing the lives of everyone around you. You're setting an example. You're showing what's possible. Think about the great leaders and innovators throughout history. They weren't the ones who talked the most. They were the ones who did the most. They were the ones who, in the face of impossible odds, acted as if they had nothing to lose. Take Thomas Edison, for example. Did you know he failed over 1,000 times before he successfully invented the light bulb? But here's the kicker. He didn't see those 1,000 attempts as failures. He saw them as 1,000 steps towards success. He acted as if he had nothing to lose, because in his mind he didn't. Each failure was just another lesson, another step forward. Or consider Rosa Parks. When she refused to give up her seat on that bus in Montgomery, she acted as if she had nothing to lose. But in reality, she had everything to lose. Her safety, her freedom, her life. Yet she did it anyway, because she understood that some things are more important than personal comfort or safety. She understood the power of silent, fearless acts. These people changed the world not because they were exceptionally gifted or lucky, but because they were exceptionally committed. They were willing to be silent when others were noisy, and to act when others were paralyzed by fear. Now, I'm not saying you need to change the world, but I am saying you need to change your world. And the only way to do that is through silent, fearless action. So how do we do this? How do we embrace silence and act as if we have nothing to lose? Well, it starts with a decision. A decision to stop making excuses. A decision to stop waiting for the perfect moment. A decision to stop seeking permission or validation from others. It starts with understanding that your life is your responsibility. Not your parents, not your spouses, not your bosses, yours. And with that responsibility comes incredible power. The power to shape your destiny, to create your future, to become who you're meant to be. But here's the catch. That power only exists in the present moment. Not in the past, which you can't change. Not in the future, which hasn't happened yet. But right here, right now. So I want you to do something for me. Right now, in this moment, I want you to be silent, really silent. Close your eyes if you need to. And in that silence, I want you to listen. Listen to your heart. Listen to your dreams. Listen to that small voice inside you that knows what you're truly capable of. And then I want you to make a promise to yourself. A promise to act on what you've heard. A promise to move forward even if you're scared. A promise to embrace silence and act as if you have nothing to lose. Because here's the truth. You don't have anything to lose. Not really. What you have to lose is the life you could have if you don't take action. What you have to lose is your potential, your dreams, your true self. Now, some of you might be thinking, but what about my current job? My current relationships, my current life, and to that, I say, those things are not who you are. They're what you have, and there's a big difference. You see, too often, we define ourselves by our possessions, our titles, our relationships. We say, I'm a doctor, or I'm a parent, or I'm a homeowner. But those are just roles we play, things we have. They're not who we are. Who you are is the silent dreamer inside you. Who you are is the fearless actor who's ready to step onto the stage of life. Who you are is the person you become when you stop talking and start doing. So let's talk about how to put this into practice. How do we embrace silence and act as if we have nothing to lose in our daily lives? First, start with small silences. In a world that's constantly noisy, constantly demanding our attention, create pockets of silence in your day. Maybe it's 5 minutes in the morning before you start your day. Maybe it's a quiet walk during your lunch break. Maybe it's turning off all electronics an hour before bed. Use these moments of silence to connect with yourself, to hear your own thoughts, to feel your own feelings, because it's in these moments of silence that clarity comes. It's in these moments that you'll hear the whispers of your true desires, your true purpose. Second, practice fearless action in small ways. You don't have to quit your job or sell all your possessions tomorrow. Start small. Maybe it's speaking up in a meeting when you usually stay quiet. Maybe it's trying a new hobby you've always been curious about. Maybe it's having that difficult conversation you've been avoiding. Each time you take one of these small actions, you're building your fearless muscle. You're proving to yourself that you can act even when you're afraid. And over time, these small actions will lead to bigger ones. Third, surround yourself with silent doers. You know the saying, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Well, it's true. If you want to embrace silence and fearless action, you need to be around people who embody these qualities. Look for the quiet achievers in your life. The ones who are always working on something exciting, always growing, always pushing themselves. Spend time with them. Learn from them. Let their energy and their example inspire you. Fourth, redefine failure. This is crucial. If you're going to act as if you have nothing to lose, you need to understand that failure is not the end. It's part of the journey. Every successful person you admire has failed more times than you can imagine. The difference is, they didn't let those failures stop them. So start seeing your failures as feedback, as lessons, as necessary steps on the path to success. When you reframe failure this way, you'll find that you're much more willing to take risks, to try new things, to act bold. Fifth, practice gratitude. This might seem counterintuitive. After all, if you're acting as if you have nothing to lose, why focus on what you have? But here's the thing. Gratitude is not about complacency. It's about perspective. When you're grateful for what you have, you realize that you already have so much. And when you realize that, you become much more willing to take risks because you understand that even if you fail, you still have all these wonderful things in your life. 6, focus on growth, not goals. Goals are important, don't get me wrong. But when you're too focused on specific outcomes, you can become paralyzed by fear of not achieving them. Instead, focus on growth, on becoming a little bit better each day, on learning, on improving, on expanding your capabilities. When you focus on growth, every action becomes an opportunity, every failure becomes a lesson. And suddenly you find that you're much more willing to take action, to try new things, to push yourself out of your comfort zone. 7th, practice mindfulness. This goes hand in hand with silence. Mindfulness is about being fully present in the moment, aware of your thoughts and feelings without judgment. When you're mindful, you're much more able to recognize fear when it arises. And when you can recognize it, You can choose to act despite it. Mindfulness also helps you stay focused on what truly matters. It helps you cut through the noise of life and stay connected to your true priorities, your true desires. 8th, embrace discomfort. If you're going to act as if you have nothing to lose, you need to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Growth happens outside your comfort zone, not inside it. So, deliberately put yourself in situations that challenge you, that scare you a little, that push you to be more than you currently are. It might be uncomfortable in the moment, but that discomfort is the feeling of growth. It's the feeling of becoming more. 9th, cultivate self-trust. This is perhaps the most important aspect of acting as if you have nothing to lose. You need to trust yourself. Trust your instincts. Trust your abilities. Trust that even if things don't work out as planned, you'll be able to handle it. Self-trust comes from keeping promises to yourself, from doing what you say you're going to do, from facing your fears and coming out the other side. The more you trust yourself, the more willing you'll be to take bold action. And finally, 10th, remember why you're doing this. Acting as if you have nothing to lose isn't about recklessness or irresponsibility. It's about living fully. It's about becoming the best version of yourself. It's about making the most of this one precious life you've been given. So keep your why front and center. Write it down. Remind yourself of it every day. Let it be the fuel that drives you forward when things get tough. Now, I want to be clear about something. This journey of embracing silence and acting as if you have nothing to lose. It's not a destination. It's not something you achieve and then you're done. It's a lifelong practice, a way of being in the world. There will be days when you nail it, when you're the embodiment of silent strength and fearless action, and there will be days when you fall short, when fear gets the better of you, or when you find yourself talking more than doing. And that's okay, because this isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's about consistently moving in the direction of your best self, your truest self. Remember, every great achievement in history started with a moment of silence. A moment when someone stopped talking about what they were going to do and simply did it. A moment when someone acted as if they had nothing to lose, even when they had everything to lose. You have that same power within you. Right now, in this moment, the power to be silent, the power to act fearlessly, the power to create the life you truly want. So I challenge you. No, I dare you. Be silent. Listen to that voice inside you that knows what you're truly capable of, and then act. Act as if you have nothing to lose. Because in reality, the only thing you have to lose is the chance to become who you're meant to be. Your life is waiting. Your true self is waiting. The world is waiting for what only you can bring. So be silent and act as if you have nothing to lose. Because when you do, you'll find that you have everything to gain. Remember, success is not to be pursued. It is to be attracted by the person you become. So become the kind of person who embraces silence and acts fearlessly. Become the kind of person who inspires others through their actions, not just their words. The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams and have the courage to pursue them silently and fearlessly. Will you be one of them? The choice, as always, is yours. But I believe in you. I believe in your potential. I believe in your ability to embrace silence and act as if you have nothing to lose. So go forth and seize this moment. The world is waiting for your unique contribution, your special talents. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your inner voice. That voice knows what you truly want, what you're truly capable of. Remember, success is not just about reaching a destination. It's about who you become along the way. It's about the habits you develop, the character you build, the lives you touch. Every silent moment of reflection, every bold action you take is shaping you into the person you're meant to be. Think about the great achievers throughout history. They didn't wait for perfect conditions. They didn't wait for someone to give them permission. They acted. They moved forward, often in the face of overwhelming odds. They understood that the perfect moment is now, and the perfect place is here. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be easy. Anything worth doing rarely is. There will be obstacles. There will be mistakes, but if you push through, if you keep taking action, you'll find that these challenges are actually opportunities. Opportunities to learn, to grow, to become stronger. Consider this. Every expert was once a beginner. Every success story started with a single step. Your journey of 1,000 miles begins right here, right now, with your decision to embrace silence and act fearlessly. You might be wondering, but what if I fail? Well, let me tell you something about failure. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of success. Every setback, every mistake, every failure is just feedback. It's information you can use to adjust your course, to refine your approach, to get better. In fact, if you're not failing, you're probably not pushing yourself hard enough. You're probably playing it too safe. And playing it safe might feel comfortable in the short term, but in the long term, it's the riskiest thing you can do. Because while you're standing still, the world is moving forward. So I encourage you to reframe how you think about failure. Instead of seeing it as something to be avoided at all costs, see it as a necessary part of your journey. Embrace it, learn from it, and most importantly, keep moving forward despite. Now, some of you might be thinking, this all sounds great, but I'm not sure I'm ready for such a big change. And to that I say, start small. You don't have to revolutionize your entire life overnight. Start with one area. Maybe it's your health. Maybe it's your relationships. Maybe pick one area and start applying these principles. Be silent. Take some time to really reflect on what you want in this area of your life. Then act as if you have nothing to lose. Take that first step, no matter how small it might seem. Maybe it's waking up 30 minutes earlier to exercise. Maybe it's finally having that conversation you've been putting off. Maybe it's signing up for that class you've always wanted to take. Whatever it is, do it. And then do the next thing, and the next. Before you know it, you'll have built momentum. You'll have proof that you can do hard things, that you can act in the face of fear. And that proof, that confidence will spill over into other areas of your life. Remember, every great achievement, every life-changing moment starts with a decision to stop waiting and start doing, a decision to stop talking and start acting, a decision to embrace silence and act as if you have nothing to lose. You have that power. Right now, in this very moment, the power to make that decision, the power to change the course of your life. So I ask you, what will you do with this power? Will you let it slip away, lost in the noise of everyday life? Or will you seize it, using it to propel you towards your dreams, towards the life you truly want? The choice, as always, is yours. But I believe in you. I believe in your potential. I believe in your ability to embrace silence and act as if you have nothing to lose. Now let's talk about the ripple effect of your actions. When you embrace silence and act fearlessly, you're not just changing your own life. You're changing the lives of everyone around you. You're setting an example. You're showing what's possible. Think about it. When you start living this way, people will notice. They'll see the change in you. They'll see your courage, your determination, your growth, and that will inspire them. It will make them wonder, if they can do it, why can't I? You see, we often underestimate the impact we have on others. We think our actions are insignificant in the grand scheme of things. But the truth is, every action we take, every word we speak or don't speak, every decision we make has an impact. It creates ripples that spread out far beyond us. So when you choose silence over meaningless chatter, when you choose action over procrastination, when you choose courage over comfort, you're not just changing your life, you're changing the world, one small act at a time. Now, and I want to address something important. Some of you might be thinking, but I have responsibilities. I have people depending on me. I can't just act as if I have nothing to lose. I really do. But here's the thing. Acting as if you have nothing to lose doesn't mean being reckless or irresponsible. It means being brave enough to pursue what truly matters to you, despite the fear, despite the uncertainty. In fact, I would argue that if you have people depending on you, you have even more reason to embrace this mindset. Because by living this way, by pursuing your dreams, by becoming the best version of yourself, you're setting an incredible example for those who look up to you. You're showing them what's possible when you stop making excuses and start taking action. You're teaching them the value of silence, of reflection, of courage. And that, my friends, is a legacy worth leaving. Now, let's talk about the role of patience in all of this. When you start embracing silence and acting fearlessly, you might expect immediate results. And sometimes you'll get them. But more often, the results will come slowly, almost imperceptibly at first. This is where many people give up. They take a few bold actions, don't see immediate results, and conclude that it doesn't work. But that's not how real, lasting change happens. Real change is more like the growth of a tree than the construction of a building. When you plant a tree, you don't see results right away. For a long time, it might seem like nothing is happening. But under the ground, roots are growing. The tree is establishing itself, preparing for growth. And then almost suddenly, you start to see changes. The tree starts to grow taller, to spread its branches. And before you know it, you have a strong, sturdy tree that can withstand any storm. Your journey will be similar. At first, it might seem like nothing is changing. But if you persist, if you keep embracing silence and taking fearless action, you'll start to see changes. Small ones at first, but they'll grow. And eventually, you'll look back and be amazed at how far you've come. So be patient. Trust the process. Keep doing the work even when you can't see immediate results, because the results will come often in ways you never expected. Now, let's address another important point. The power of consistency. It's not the intensity of your actions that matter most. It's the consistency. Doing something small every day is far more powerful than doing something big once in a while. Think about it like this. If you wanted to fill a large jar with pebbles, would it be better to throw in a handful of pebbles once a week, or to put in one pebble every day? Over time, a daily pebble would fill the jar faster and more reliably. Same is true in your life. Consistent, daily actions, no matter how small they might seem, add up to massive changes over time. So focus on consistency. Make silence and fearless action a daily habit, not just something you do when you feel inspired. Remember, inspiration is fleeting. Motivation comes and goes, but habits stick with you. They become part of who you are. So work on making this mindset a habit. Practice it every day in big ways and small. Now, I want to talk about something that might seem contradictory at first. The importance of celebration. When we talk about being silent and acting as if we have nothing to lose, it might seem like there's no room for celebration. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Celebrating your wins, no matter how small, is crucial. It reinforces the behavior you want to continue. It builds your confidence. It reminds you that you're making progress even when the journey feels tough. So celebrate your victories. Did you embrace silence instead of filling the air with meaningless chatter? Celebrate that. Did you take a small but scary step towards your goals? Celebrate that. Did you push through fear and do something you've been putting off? Absolutely celebrate that. These celebrations don't have to be big or elaborate. A moment of quiet acknowledgement, a small treat, or sharing your win with a supportive friend can be enough. The important thing is to recognize and appreciate your progress. Now, as we near the end of our time together, I want to leave you with a final thought. This journey you're embarking on, this journey of silence and fearless action, it's not just about achieving goals or becoming successful in the traditional sense. It's about becoming more fully yourself. It's about stripping away the noise, the fear, the limitations that have been holding you back, and revealing the amazing person you truly are. Because here's the truth. You are capable of far more than you realize. You have gifts, talents, ideas that the world needs. But those gifts can only emerge when you're willing to be silent, to listen to your inner voice, and to act boldly in pursuit of your dreams. So, my friends, I challenge you. No, I dare you. Be silent. Listen to that voice inside you that knows what you're truly capable of. And then act. Act as if you have nothing to lose. Because when you do, you'll find that you have everything to gain. A life lived fully, a self fully realized, a world changed, even if just a little, by your presence in it. That's the power of silence and fearless action. That's the power you hold within you. Go forth, be silent, act fearlessly, and watch as your life transforms in ways you never thought